kids that play upwards. This will be my starting five for my kindergarten division. I know a couple of them look big for their age, but trust me, they're right there. Nah. All right, y'all can go sit down. As most of you know, well, first of all, good morning, church. Most of you all know who I am. I hate being up here. Get all nervous, get emotional for no reason. Especially after following Cheapo, she puts the pressure on me. I am Coach Rob. I lead the Upward Sports program alongside with my wife, who's hiding back here, Morgan. She does a lot of the computer work for me and stuff like that I am not very good at. So she handles a lot of that for me. She is a huge help to me. See, we've been doing Upwards. It's coming up on 14 years. 14 years of doing this program. I meant to send Justin a picture of my original 23 kids. And out of that 23, I have 2 left. One of them is my son, which is, let's see, hard to believe. He's playing in my high school division now. Whew. Long time. But what is Upward Sports? It is a Christian sports ministry that introduces families and kids to Jesus through sports. It's an easy way to introduce Jesus to people because, you know, everybody loves sports, right? Oh, I thought I was the only one here that loves sports. Whew, scary. Like I said, I love sports, especially love basketball. Eat, sleep, drink it, breathe it, love it. What? No cussing in church, Grace. Soccer is not a real sport. No, I just love sports altogether, and God has blessed me with a gift to teach. I have a lot of stories. But most of all, with Upwards, like I said, is a way to introduce Jesus to families and kids. And it's also a way to get people to come to church through Upward Sports. And we've had some success with that. We've introduced, people have came to play in our league, and they've listened to the devotions, got to know me. We've got to talk, invite them. I was like, hey, come sit in church with me. I sit in the back row. We hang out, We're not going to sit up front. Cool kids sit in the back, So, whatever. Except for Sierra, she likes to sit up front, and usually Cassie's with her. They're part of my Upwards family. Ross is a great coach. He does amazing with these kids. But me and Morgan were talking about the Upwards program, about it's just more than, just bringing people to church and stuff. It's about discipleship. And probably more important, relationships. In the 14 years I've been doing this, I have built several relationships. And I would have never met these people if I wouldn't been obedient and followed his guidance in telling me to do this sports program. Because I can tell you in the beginning, when I started Upward Sports, I got involved over in Winchester of God Church because I was dating my wife, and she had a daughter, and she played that non-sport soccer. So I was over there, and I was watching, and checking it out. And some of the guys there that ran the league, they was like, asked me to volunteer. They say, hey, can you help ref? I'm like, ref what, soccer? I said, I don't know nothing about soccer. I said, just stand here and watch the line when the ball goes out. I can do that. So after that, I got to talking to the guys, and they was like, well, what sport do you like? I said, well, I do basketball. I said, I play a real sport. And so they said, oh, we got a basketball program here coming up next. And they said, won't you come? So I did. And like I said, when I first started in Upwards, I got into it for the wrong reasons. I was about proving I can coach. I had been turned down for a couple high school positions and middle school positions where I had parents going to the school boards, the principals, everybody saying they wanted me to coach their kids because I'd already been coaching their kids in Parks and Rec, and we were very successful down there. And I never did get the job. And it's a little embarrassing. A couple of times, I was the only one who applied. I went to the interview and everything and still didn't get it. I'm like, man, what's up with that? But it wasn't his plan for me. So I ended up in Upwards, and when I went there, like I said, I was trying to prove that I can coach, to show everybody, I know exactly what I'm doing. I can win. I actually took an all-girls team that I was coaching in my Parks and Rec team over to play in WinCog in the boys' league. We took second. We only lost one game, and that was the one team that was loaded with a pretty stacked team, but they only beat us by 3 points. So we gained a lot of respect. So after that, I got the church I was going to at one time. They were talking about getting an Upwards program started, and I was like, okay, I'm in. And then things went wrong. The church kind of fell apart, but I picked up the program, and I started it. And like I said, I know lots of people, and they're like, oh, yeah, you start this league, we're going to be there, So I started with flag football, and like I said, we had 23 kids. I had 2 boys football teams and a cheerleading squad, and the cheerleading squad could have beat both boys teams easily, trust me. Because after that, the girls quit cheerleading and started playing football. And, there was one little girl, I'll tell you a quick story, Bree. She played me forever. I just used to call her the bus. If you're Pittsburgh Steelers fans, you know who I'm talking about, Jerome Bettis. She, husky, and you wouldn't think she was quick. Tell you what, you give her a quick pitch and she turned that corner, I just said, that's 6, there's a touchdown, boom, she was gone. She outran every boy on that team for years. And then boys would line up. One of them is a star running back for Strasburg High School back right now, Takai. What was Takai Coates. Boy, is super quick. Athletic as all get out. He would challenge her. He said, Coach Rob, I want to challenge Bree to race. I said, you don't want to do that. He said, I got her. I said, okay, after practice, we'll line it up. Lined it up. She smoked him every time. I'm like, I told you. But it was a great group of kids, and we had a lot of fun. Like I said, now, several years later in the program, God started working on my heart. Because I said, when I start this, I said, I'm an AD. I'll set up the schedules, the game schedules, practice schedules, put the teams together, all that stuff, and I'll coach. But I said there's a couple things I will not do. I will not do the devotions. That's not me. That's not my wheelhouse. God had other plans, as he usually does. So who I had in charge was Tammy Davis, who's downstairs with the kids right now. Her mom got real sick, and right before the game was getting ready to start, she got a call, and she had to leave. I mean, it was bad. I told her, I said, don't worry about family first. I'll figure this out. I'll, find somebody to do it. We'll get this worked out. Well, I was the one stuck with it. She gave me the paperwork, and I was nervous as all get out. I got these kids here, and the whole time I was just blah, 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 like this, trying to get through it. From that day on, I've been doing the devotions ever since. God has a sense of humor. But it helped me grow in my Christianity and my walk. And that's where the relationship started. You build relationships with kids, parents, and like I said, I've got kids, middle school kids, calling me up or texting me and telling me, Coach Rob, can you pray for me? And I'm like, yeah, I got you. And then you have parents call you up, say, hey, man, I'm going through something. And you sit and you talk with them, and, hey, can you pray? And I'll pray. I had one grandfather this year, and his grandson's been playing the league for a couple of years. He's a really, really good kid, really good ball player. And one night after practice, he was hanging out late, helping me clean up and everything. And he was like, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, yeah, sure. So I thought we were going to talk about basketball. I was like, yeah, well, I'm down for this because he's the next basketball coach. So I'm like, I'm good. And he said, I'm worried about my grandson. I said, why? And he said, well, his mom and dad are getting separated. They're separated. They're talking about getting divorced. And I told him, I said, I kind of noticed that he hasn't been playing kind of up to par. It seemed like a little off. He was a little emotional, more than usual. He liked to win and stuff, but just little things he was getting a little teary-eyed about. So we started talking about it, and he was telling me, that it was affecting him a little bit. And I said, yeah, I thought I seen some differences in him. And we started praying. And then, of course, he left. And then the next weekend, the mom and the dad did come to watch their son play. And I can't tell you what the devotion I did. I can't remember off the top of my head. Well, I can tell you, afterwards, of course, the grandfather came up to me and shook my hand. He said, man, it was really good. But the parents, the wife and the husband, came up to me. And especially the husband, tears in his eyes, and said, thank you. I needed to hear that. Like I said, I can't remember what the devotion was, but it stuck with him, and it moved him. And as far as I know for right now, they are all still together. So it's just stuff like that. Everybody thinks upward sports. When you hear the word sports, you just think it's sports. It is sports, and we're competitive, and we play hard, and we teach the fundamentals, and just trying to teach these kids how to play the right way. But we're talking to them about Jesus all the time, all the time. Just with the devotions for every halftime of every game, we're praying with these kids before every game. And, the most important thing about this league, and I'll tell them, like when I started the volleyball league this year for the girls, there's only like 4 or 5 girls from Upwards basketball that were signed up for volleyball. So I had all these brand new families, and I pulled them all together. And right off the bat, I told them, I said, most important thing we're going to do here is we're going to talk about Jesus. Do not skip the devotionals. We're going to pray with you. And I had all these parents that are looking at each other like, what is this? This is what we're about. And every weekend, something special happened there. It was literally amazing. I mean, it was just praying with young girls, teenage girls that didn't have fathers in the homes. It was special. But I'm going to just go through a quick devotion that I do. This is one of my new ones. So I like to do object lessons with the kids. Works really well. So I hope you guys can catch on. So what I got right here, as everybody can see, is Gunner. Tell them what it is. That's right. It's a horseshoe. Okay. So I got a horseshoe. And I have what? A knife. This knife is also a horseshoe. I made this several years ago down at Pigeon Forge with my son. We both have one. If you ever watch Forged in the Fire, I think it's the first or second year, the guy has a forge down there on at Pigeon Forge, and he won the forge. So we went in there to make this knife out of a horseshoe. Now, how do we get from this to that? Well, this has to be put into a forge, into the fire. And you have to heat it up really, really hot. So when you get it out, you can bend it and shape it. And then once you get it straightened out, we're taking a sledgehammer and you're beating it into shape. And then, you put it back in the fire, get it back out, and you keep beating it into shape and working it till you get it almost to where you're wanting it, similar to this shape. And then once we get it to that shape, they do a thing called quenching, where they'll take the metal and they put it down into I'm not sure what kind of, it's like an oil or water base, whatever. But they dip it down into this water to cool it down and temper the metal. And then once they do that, then they start taking it over to a grinder and start putting a nice edge on it. And then once they get that edge on it and everything, then they take it to a nice little belt sander thing and start putting that shine to it and put a little final touch on it until we get this. So we went from one purpose of this horseshoe, which goes on a horse, horseshoe. So after it was wore out and done, we took this and we gave this horseshoe a new purpose. So it's a new purposeful tool. The thing is, these two objects here are very similar to our lives. We might start out as this horseshoe. We have a purpose. But the purpose that we might be seeking might be worldly and not following a godly purpose. And at some point in our life, God will take this horseshoe because he starts working on our heart, and he's going to put us into the fire. Then he's going to start straightening us out. And sometimes he has to beat on us a little bit. Been there? And he has to shape us into a new purposeful tool. But just like the whole sequence of here being put into the fire, the forge to get straightened out, beaten, and shapened, once we get to that point where he gets us shapened out, just like we quench it, dip it into that water, same thing like us. We want to commit ourselves to God. We do a baptism. So we are getting dunked. We are getting quenched. And then after that, we're still not done. He's putting us on that grinder and shaping us more, sharpening us, and putting us on the belt sander and polishing us because we're continuing to grow all the time. A couple of scriptures come to mind on that is like Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. I'm constantly telling these kids all the time, surround yourself with good people. Good, strong people, Christian friends. Because it's only going to take one to lead you down a path that you don't want to go and get yourself into trouble. The other scripture comes from 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. The old things are passed away. Behold, all things are new. Just like this old horseshoe became this new purposeful knife and tool. Just like our Christian walk, once we give our life to Christ, we become a new creation. We're no longer that old person. That old person is gone and over with. We are new, and we follow him. This is just some of the little devotions I like to do with the kids. It really sinks home with some of them. I've had some of these devotions I've done where kids have asked me for Bibles afterwards, so I've given them Bibles. I've had some of them break down and cry, and just right there on the court, right there at half court. But that's my purpose, is to be there to teach these kids how to play ball, and most importantly, teach them about Jesus and help them to make great decisions, hopefully make good decisions in their life so they don't have to be beaten so much like I was. But there's some other things like with Upwards. As like I said, we started out with 23 kids. Now last year we were 246 kids. So growth is great. And this growth is not because I'm a great coach or anything. It's all God. He has been blessing me with great coaches, great volunteers, all these families, and it has been awesome. But with growth comes more challenges. You need more help. And I'm just going to go over a few needs, because like this year, for the families like Ross, you guys know, you all know where the Strasburg Mennonite Gym is, which used to be the old Strasburg Middle School and stuff. A lot of you grew up and went to school there. We have outgrown that gymnasium. And last year, as like I said, for a couple of the championship games, if the fire marshal shows up, somebody's going to jail. Thankfully, I'm always close to the exit. But this year we worked out with Eucharia Christian Academy to play all of our games this year on Saturday over there. Games only. Practice will still be at the Mennonite Gym. We can make do with practice there, but game day is pretty busy and gets packed out. Yes. Yes, it's the old Ayler Middle School in Stevens City. Yep, the one you see right off 81. So usually I do 95% of the refereeing. I start with the kindergarten division. I go all the way up until the 3rd and 4th grade division. I usually coach a team down there, and I get people to come in, and then I coach a middle school team, and plus I do the high school team. But the high school team, I have to have regular referees for that. So the idea with the Eucharia, we're going to be able to run 2 games at one time, which is going to be huge for us, because last year my Saturdays was close to a 15, 16-hour day of running up and down the court chasing kids and blowing a whistle, which I'm not complaining. It's a lot. So with moving over there and doing 2 games at one time, I'm going to need extra people for referees, scorekeepers. In the middle school division and the high school division, I need somebody to keep the scorebook. Because, at that level, at the middle school division, we play regular basketball. The kids can foul out. The lower divisions, they can't foul out, so we don't need to keep track of all that stuff. We will need people to work the ice cream stand, which Sugar Creek Ice Cream will begin donated a freezer to us and keeping it full. It was a huge success for a fundraiser for us. She gives 40% back to us of our sales, and we did really well. It helped pay for the gym rental last year, probably, half of the gym rental, Morgan? So that was huge, having that ice cream stand there. And if you've never had Sugar Creek, come to an Upwards game on Saturday. Get you a treat. It's the best. Other things probably looking for is like a volunteer manager, somebody to take care of scheduling people to volunteer on Saturdays, like who can referee the kindergarten division, who can keep score for the middle school division or keep score for any of the games. Last year we had a person doing it, and but they're not coming back this year because they live in Warrenton and they found an Upwards program closer to their house, which I totally understand. But she was running that, and it was called, what was that thing called? She was using the app, Sign Up Genius? Yeah, she was using Sign Up Genius, and that was kind of working out pretty good. So we're looking for somebody to kind of take up that role for us. I got a lot on my plate. She has a lot on her plate as well. So the more people we can get to step up and help out with some certain things is huge. Yeah, I tell you, one other thing I would suggest, especially with the refereeing, with the younger divisions, I can show you everything you need to know about that if you want to give it a try. I tried teaching Seth, but that didn't go too well. I think Seth was scared of the kindergartners. Seth did a good job. We had Teen Challenge guys come out, and they helped out a lot. They were a huge help last year. But like I said, with the refereeing, trying to get some of the younger kids involved from the high school division to help out. I can tell you one thing. I know a lot of people, especially adults, when they say about refereeing, is like, they won't hear nothing from the crowd. Trust me, you won't hear nothing from my people. We got good parents, and if anybody does say anything to you, all you got to do is tell me, and we will handle the situation. But we got good families. They just want to come there and watch our kids and cheer them and have a good time. Yes. Both. Check with me first, but then I'll refer anything to her because she does the computer side of it. And some crazy woman in the background hollering about turkeys. We will be doing, I did this for several years, and then it kind of, the numbers were dropping off, and it just was hard to do for the amount of money it was costing the turkeys. But we're doing the turkey fundraiser again. So on all the proceeds will go to Upward Sports. So if you want a turkey deep fried that Thursday morning of Thanksgiving, go to our website. We have a link where you can sign up and pay for it, and we'll give you a time slot to show up when your turkey's done. All you do is drive up, pick it up, and go on home and start eating. Well, we're going to do the butter Creole this year. Butter Creole. That's what everybody likes. We did a few Cajun, and some people didn't like the Cajun. Yeah, but yeah. Yeah. And one of the other things we did in the past, we usually always save back a couple turkeys. We always drop one off down here to the Middletown Fire Department and for the police officers, whoever's working, so they have a hot turkey where they can come in there and get some make a sandwich or whatever, and they usually bring their own sides in. And we also do the same thing for Strasburg. We always drop one off for them as well. The other thing with upwards needs, or more goes back to relationships and the discipleship part of it, is you ain't got nothing to do. Come hang out for a little bit. Just sit in the crowd. You'll be surprised who you'll meet, who you might be able to just start up conversation with. Like Chipa was talking earlier, a guy kept telling her to go to Walmart. She didn't want to go to Walmart. Nobody wants to go to Walmart. But she did, and, she ended up praying with a woman and everything, and it was a great interaction. It's all about relationships and, and being that disciple. Jesus told his 12 disciples to go out into the world and spread his word. That's what we're supposed to do. This is how I do it. This is my gift right there. And all I can say is, come check out these kids. You'll laugh. You'll have a good time. And you never know who you're going to meet. So that's all I got. Someone in the back's throwing up her hand, like, wrap it up, whatever. I'm up here. It's my world. Don't you tell me what to do.
Give it up for Coach Rob. Yeah. So we can get the ushers together. We're going to get ready to take a second offering this morning, but the second offering today, we don't normally do 2 offerings on Sunday. This is not a normal, but we are going to invest into Upward Sports as a church and help. One other thing I want to say, there's a table in the back, so if you're interested in volunteering, you heard Coach Rob, if you do not have any basketball skills whatsoever, you are still welcome to come. You're welcome to come and serve and help. There are plenty of opportunities. The basketball season kicks off first week of January, right in those first few weeks of January. And so, there's 8 weeks? 8 weeks of games. And so, man, if everybody can come out this year with the time being shrunken way down, a couple hours on a Saturday, not 16 hours, and just say, hey, look, I want to come, I'll come out. And you show up, they'll plug you in somewhere. And so, or if you want to learn the refereeing and whatnot, that's an opportunity as well. I tried to help teach kids that one year at the check-in, and they banned me for life. So it's the windmill defense I was trying to show them anyways. But listen, it's a good opportunity. I don't know much about basketball. James, this is for you, okay? But I am a huge football fan, and I'm a Commanders fan, Redskins fan, Washington football team, whatever they are. Go ahead, give it up. Yeah, some of y'all are fans, right? It's been 30 years of misery, okay? Man, but this last Sunday, I was watching the game, and at the end of the game, did anybody catch the end of the Bears game last week? Oh, my goodness. Like, are you kidding? Like, these are the moments when, as a lifelong fan, you cut the TV off and you walk out of the room before they even play, right? And I'm sitting there watching this game and this play develop. Jaden Daniels, 12 seconds, they say. He kept the play alive. 12 seconds after the clock hit 0, the dude kept the play alive. One of the Chicago Bears defenders is interesting because if you watch the on social media at all, he had begun taunting the Commanders fans, and he wasn't in position. He wasn't where he needed to be when the play was over. Noah Brown runs down, gets in the end zone, gets in position, and Jaden Daniels chucks the ball up, and it was beautiful. If you haven't seen it played over the Titanic music, it will change your life, right? It was amazing. But Noah Brown got down there and got in a position for them to be able to win the game. You got guys like Rob and Morgan, they're stretching the play out. They're stretching it out. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seconds, 14 years running, working to make things happen. As a church family, it's our responsibility. Just be a part of the team. Just get in the end zone. Give them an opportunity to make something happen. And we're on the other side. If a Noah Brown hadn't been where he was supposed to be, and hadn't been in the end zone, that play wouldn't have come together. And that's what I'm asking you today. That was a really quickly thrown together analogy. James challenged me this morning, and I had to do it. So he said, you're not a real preacher if you can't fit that Hail Mary in today. I said, oh, okay, here we go. So all I'm saying, church, is that we just need to be a part of the team, put them in a position to win. That's what this whole thing is all about. Listen, some of us are athletic, some of us aren't athletic at all. But as you heard Coach Rob say this morning, this ministry is not about the basketball at all. It's a part of it, but it's discipleship. And so if you can show up and help love on these kids, it'll be a huge blessing. Could we get the ushers to come real quick? Can I get a few of you guys real quick? We're going to go ahead and give. What is the registration cost this year? Is it $85? So last year, what did we end up raising? 15 kids, was it? When we did the offering last year? It was around 15 kids. So last year, we did the same thing going into upward season, gave people an opportunity to give. And you guys, on a spur-of-the-moment offering on Sunday morning, you raised enough money for 15 kids to go through. And so I just want to challenge you again this morning. If you're able to give a really good target, look, I'll just cover a kid. Maybe you can cover a half a kid. I don't know how that's going to work. It was somebody else who can have the whole. You know what I'm saying? But bad joke, sorry. But I'm just saying, like last year we did that, and you guys jumped in, and you were such a blessing. And so, again, if you want to give today and do that, you can give directly to the church, and all of this money will go 100% to Upward, $85 a kid. Ashley and I are going to sponsor a kid. And so anybody else that wants to get on board and jump in and help, it'll be a huge blessing. There's cost associated with all of this. They pay registration fees, but Upward still has to pick up the cost of the gymnasium, all the stuff going on. I mean, and they do this on faith, and they trust every single year that the Lord's going to provide. 14 years and 250 kids later, he has not failed them yet. Amen? Isn't that awesome? That's the Lord, and that's the faithfulness of people. Like Rob said, it's about relationships. So let's pray over this.